I just got three things to say. God bless our troops. God bless America. And gentlemen, start your engine!
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go from Phoenix. Cody the Dominator Burke, Patrick Pieper on the front row, Stephen Hoffman, Devin McDonald on the second, CJ Jeffries, Austin Edwards on the third row, Chad Ragsdale, Kirk Marble on the fourth, Edmund Jones, David Lux round out the top 10. Mark Kluge starting in 11th next to Austin Ruskoff in 12th, Joshua Rudolph in 13th, Alex Harper in 14th, Nick Ringo in 15th, Jeremy Davis in 16th, Ryan Caldwell, Scott Roney, Curtis Mitchell, and Nicholas Johnson round out the top 20. Jeffrey Goodpaster starting in 21st next to Tyler Thomas in 22nd. Brian Hewitt in 23rd. Richie Ragsdale in 24th. Ryan McDaniel starts in 25th next to Shane Hoffman in 26th. Thomas Myers, John Wyatt, Joe Lux, and JJ Ringo round out the top 30. David Farnan in 31st, Mark Dantuma in 32nd, Tim St. Jean in 33rd, Garrett Barber in 34th, Brandon Anderson and Derek Schilling round out the 36-car field. Hey, good evening, John. Good luck. All the drivers getting on the grid. Track temperature surprisingly has come down even further. And it looks like the start time is going to hold at 12:37. And a little bit of clouds overhead may help keep this track a little bit cooler. Worth noting, the air temperature has gone up from about 80 degrees, but the track temperature is coming down thanks to the clouds. The drivers are going to love that. All right, pace car is in as they come down the back straightaway. Get ready for chaos in the dogleg. As here we go, the green flag flies. They are underway at Phoenix. And already a bunch of them shooting down through the infield. And the Dominator out front, but Pieper has a run out of 2. And we saw a lot of loose race cars here Thursday night when Home Motorsports was here, but all the drivers said the car tonight, tight. And Patrick Pieper will lead lap 1. Oh! We've got one sideways, 2 sideways, and everybody manages to save it. What a save by Curtis Mitchell. Brian McDaniel has had a problem. And let's see if we can back it up and look at what happened to Curtis. All right, there they are, coming through the dogleg. Curtis there on the bottom. Into the turn, just bumps the car ahead, goes to the apron, and everybody manages to hold on. Then Ryan McDaniel has a problem a moment later, going off into turn 1. Big loose. And wow, close calls everywhere, but they keep going, and it stays green. Oh, definitely an eventful start, and Pieper still out front. Stephen Hoffman now in second, the Dominator in third. Austin Edwards second in points, closing in behind. And at the moment, Curtis Mitchell is the fastest car on track. Curtis already up 8 spots into 11th and currently has the fastest lap. Now we did mention the drivers all saying the car was very, very tight here tonight, but they also said you drive it in too deep and it will snap loose on you, as we have seen so far. CJ Jeffries in fourth, looking under Burke. Austin Edwards right behind that battle. Burke holds on to third for the moment. Curtis Mitchell up 8 spots into 11th. Ryan Caldwell up 5 spots into 12th. And the big mover at the moment, the 3-car of J.J. Ringo, up 13 spots into 17th. David Farnan starting to make some moves, up 6 spots into 25th. And Tim St. Jean, who never qualifies, already up 7 spots into 6th. Patrick Pieper continues to lead here in the early going, opening up a half second on Stephen Hoffman. Edmund Jones now up into 7th, Devin McDonald in 8th, and look at Curtis Mitchell continuing his march. Hey, good evening, Dusty. Thomas still holding on, back in 27th, but Mark the Man Dan Tuma looks underneath. Patrick Pieper trying to extend that lead. Stephen Hoffman not letting him get very far. Burke still holds on to third, but now CJ Jeffries in 4th and Austin in 5th. Chad Ragsdale in 6th, Edmund Jones in 7th, Devin McDonald in 8th, Kirk Marble in 9th. As they battle it out, Curtis Mitchell looks underneath. Kirk opened the door and he peeks his nose in, can't get it done yet. Nick Ringo now 4 spots into 11th, Alex Harper up 2 spots into 12th. Ryan Caldwell up 4 spots into 13th. And J.J. Ringo's march continues. He is already up 14 spots into 16th. And as we mentioned, the car very tight. These guys have to be careful of that right front. They're not careful, they will burn it up. And they only have 2 additional sets of tires tonight. So they have to be a little conservative here early. Pieper has extended his lead up to 0.6 of a second. Cody Burke still holds on to third. Austin is now taken 4th from CJ. And there has been a problem back behind for John Wyatt. And the caution has just come out for Scott Roney. And let's see what happened with both of these incidents. All right, there's John Wyatt on the the bottom as they come down the front stretch. Oh, the car above just bumps as Joe Lux up top. And wow, what a hit John took. Let's take a look at this from the chopper. I think Joe may have bounced off the wall. He either bounced off or got a little bit loose. And man, John took one heck of a hit. And a moment later, the incident that brought the caution out. Wow! Brian Hewitt was loose coming out of the dogleg. Austin Ruskoff, Tim St. Jean also caught up. Let's take another look at Brian Hewitt here. You see he's loose, big loose. Trying to get up out of the dogleg, slides up into Roney. And man, what a hit for Tim St. Jean, and what a flip for Hewitt. Tim St. Jean did have to tow it in. And John Wyatt had also towed it in earlier. And quite a few pit stops. Looks like fuel only for the vast majority of this field. Patrick Pieper, the only two that have stayed out, Joshua Rudolph and Joe Lux. And it does seem like a good time to get loud on the restart. Now get your hand on that volume knob and get ready. Pace car dives to pit road. Joshua Rudolph in control on the restart. Here they come through 3 and 4. And the green flag flies. Crank it up, y'all. Sound, listening to the engines roar and seeing the speed these guys are laying down. Austin Edwards has jumped to the lead. Patrick Pieper in second. Joshua Rudolph still holds on to third. Edmund Jones in fourth now. Cody the Dominator Burke in fifth. Curtis Mitchell now at 12 spots into 7th. Richie Ragsdale up 15 spots into 9th. And Joe Lux up 19 spots into 10th. Joe was one of the two drivers that stayed out under caution. And they are looking at 35 to 40 laps on a tank of fuel. The early caution at pit stops obviously extending these fuel runs for the vast majority of the field, but two of those drivers did stay out, so they will have to make the pit stop. They are hoping for a quick caution. They definitely do not want to make that stop under green flag conditions. They would lose a lot of ground. Brian Hewitt, Garrett Barber, Mark Kluge appear to have all taken tires. The only cars in the field that did, we might see those guys charging up through the field here in a moment. David Lux and Jeffrey Goodpaster battling 18th and 19th. Joe Lux up top. He is losing some ground, slipping back to 18. And it does appear Austin Edwards was sandbagging just a little bit during practice and maybe even a little bit in qualifying. Patrick Pieper still in second, about 3/10 back as Cody looks underneath Edmund Jones for third. Whoa! A little contact there on the backstretch. Both just letting the other one know they are sitting there. Richie Ragsdale still up 15 spots into ninth, trying to get past Nick Ringo in eighth. Curtis Mitchell now up into sixth, closing the gap on J.J. Ringo. Holy cow! Cody Burke and Edmund Jones getting a little bit wild. Coming out of turn two. That is allowing Ringo and Mitchell to close in. Going off into 1 and 2 once again. The Dominator has the nose ahead. Still side by side down the backstretch. Edmund got the better run out of the turn, being up top. Burke may take the position here. And the Dominator moves back into third. But Austin the Goat Edwards still out front. And that battle did allow Austin and Pieper to pull out to a 9/10 of a second lead. Meanwhile, Curtis Mitchell in sixth, just about caught up to JJ, and he might want to hurry. Joshua Rudolph now up 6 spots into seventh, closing in. Meanwhile, Kirk Marble and Nick Ringo battle for eighth. Richie Ragsdale still lurking right there with them. And Chad Ragsdale battling with Nicholas Johnson. Nicholas sends it deep out of 4 and does open the door for Alex Harper. Tyler Thomas lurking right behind. David Lux sporting a new paint scheme tonight. Lux just cleared Devin McDonald. David did lose a little ground early on, but man, he's moving forward now. Joshua Rudolph currently in 7th, and Joe Lux back in 27th. Both are hoping for a caution here soon. They've only got maybe 10 laps of fuel left in the car. Remember, those two did not come in under the caution. The only two that did not top off on fuel. Garrett Barber up 13 spots now into 21st. Garrett briefly in the middle, 3 wide. And some of these guys getting aggressive here. Only a third of the way through the race. Ryan Caldwell still in 17th. David Lux just ahead. But this group from Chad Ragsdale on back. Right there together and have been battling non-stop. Doing pretty good tonight, Tina. Austin has started to pull away from Patrick Pieper, and Pieper has another problem. The Dominator has caught him. And this may come down to another battle between the GOAT and the Dominator before it's all said and done. Coming into tonight, Cody the Dominator Burke leads the points by about 46 points, but Austin is tied with Stephen Hoffman. Stephen Hoffman had a great start to the race, but he has slipped back into 18th. He's got a lot of ground to make up here. Hoffman has been on one heck of a run this season. Has yet to be in victory lane, but of the 6 races, 5 of them is finished in the top 5. Patrick Pieper comes into the night 4th. JJ Ringo currently in 5th. And we've got one, I believe, David Lux blinking a bit. Tyler Thomas now up into 12th, up 10 spots. As one car kissing the wall. Brandon Anderson, he was caught up in that earlier incident. And it looks like he may be having some problems. And Joe Lux and Joshua Rudolph have come to pit road. They did not get that caution they were hoping for. Austin still has the lead. Pieper in 2nd, Burke in 3rd. Edmund Jones has slipped way back in 4th. Now has JJ Ringo closing in. Curtis Mitchell battling with Kirk Marble. Kirk lost some ground early on, but has been marching his way forward. Nick Ringo has just moved up into 10th, but look at this. Nicholas Johnson up 11 spots into 9th. Richie Ragsdale up 16 spots into 8th. Got several drivers in the top 10 that have been making some big moves here in the early going. And just noticed we've got a few drivers not in the field tonight. Jesse Gordon not in the field. Ryan Philbrick not in the field. Jeremy Queener, who jumped up 10 spots in the points last week, he is not here either. Pieper still holding on to second with Burke right there behind. But Austin has opened up his lead to about half a second, and Pieper went a little too deep into one that time. Manages to hold Burke off for the moment. Alex Harper in 10th, starting to reel Nicholas Johnson in. Richie Ragsdale in 8th is closing the gap on Curtis. As since Kirk has taken 6, he is pulling away. And at the moment, Kirk Marble is the fastest car in the top 10. Scott Roney, who got caught up in that earlier incident, currently sits back in 17th. But look at the battle he's in. Chad Ragsdale, David Farnan, CJ Jeffries, and Ryan Caldwell all in the mix. And wow, Nick got a big run. Tyler Thomas rather got the big run coming through. Excuse me, that is Joshua Rudolph marching his way through the field. Joshua, after his pit stop, he did take 4 tires and fuel. He did lose a lap, but he is making up for it as Ryan McDaniel has had a problem. All right, there's Ryan, comes out of the dogleg into turn 1. Wow, he went way deep, taps the car ahead, they both get loose. Ryan gives the wall a little kiss. They both keep going. And Ryan did have a big run coming into turn 1 that time. And Austin Edwards gives up the lead. He is in. The Dominator stays out and takes the lead. Brandon Anderson, Stephen Hoffman both in. They were about 5 or so laps early on their pit stops, but here comes more. Patrick Pieper, JJ Ringo, Kirk Marble all in. Everybody sees the leader coming in. They head in as well. Tire fall off here has been huge. Almost 1% tire wear per lap was the average. Cody Burke's fastest lap of 28.2. Last time by 29.7. A second and a half slower a lap. Edmund Jones, Curtis Mitchell, Devin McDonald, and a whole lot more are in. Thomas Myers, Brian Hewitt, Scott Roney also in. And the Dominator gives up the lead, and we've got one around. David Lux, I believe, had a problem coming to pit road. And that is gonna hurt. All right, there's Lux back behind. Drops low through 1 and 2. Points it to pit road. Now it doesn't look like Lux is the one who had the problem. Unfortunately, I don't know who it was exactly. But Chad Ragsdale took the lead. He has led a lap. And now he's coming in. Several drivers looking to lead a lap here. Looks like Jeremy Davis is going to come in. And Austin Edwards is going to reclaim the lead. Austin did take 4 tires and fuel. And it looks like the Dominator may have had a problem on pit road. He lost a bunch of time. He did take 4 tires and fuel, but went from up front back to 9th. His pit stop about 10 seconds longer than everybody else. He did not score a penalty. Austin now has a bit of breathing room. He's got a 3.4 second lead on Patrick Pieper. JJ Ringo now up into 3rd. Edmund Jones in 4th. Curtis Mitchell now up into 5th. And Curtis right on Edmund's bumper. Kirk Marble in 6th. Joshua Rudolph in 7th. Cody Burke now up into 8th. Richie Ragsdale still holding on to 9th. Nicholas Johnson up into 10th. Stephen Hoffman currently sits in 11th. Remember, he came in tonight tied with Austin Edwards for 2nd in points. He is starting to make up some ground. He was further back early in this race, but is starting to fight his way back toward the top 10. The Dominator has already made his way back up to 6th, and right now is the fastest car on track. However, the real question right now is, can Burke reel him back in to get back up into the fight? Remember, Austin does come in tonight 2nd in points, has the most wins so far this season at 3, compared to Burke's 1, but Austin has missed a couple of races. Mark Dantuma, now Brian Hewitt, each a lap down, back in 22nd and 23rd. Mark moves up into 22nd. He's up 10 spots, but losing a lap here early. He is in a lucky dog position. Has to hope for another caution to get him back in the fight. As Austin is not going to go easy on anybody tonight. Cody Burke has just about caught 5th place Curtis Mitchell. Remember, Curtis has been on a tear of 14 spots into 5th. And not far behind, Richie Ragsdale up 17 spots into 7th. But the biggest mover so far, JJ Ringo, he is up 27 spots into 3rd. If it stays green to the end, they still will need one more pit stop. And next time by, everybody will be in the fuel window. Austin has a 2.3 second lead at the moment. Pieper has gained a little bit of ground, but now he's in heavy traffic. Meanwhile, at the moment, Austin has clean air, but he also has Mark Dantuma fighting to get back to the lead lap. JJ Ringo currently in 3rd, about 7.7 seconds behind Pieper, but he is reeling Patrick in. Last time by, JJ was about a 1/4 of a second a lap faster. Tim St. Jean, after being caught up in that first caution, back in 33rd. A heartbreak for Tim. He was really marching. And Kirk Marble has come in. Kirk coming in for his final stop. He's going to try and short pit, have the freshest tires, and see if he can get some track position. And what do you say we take a lap around with our leader, Austin Edwards? On board as he comes through 3 and 4. Across the start-finish line, down into the dogleg. Back up on track as he sends it off into 1 and 2. Feathering the throttle through 1 and 2. Hard on the power. You can see him counter steering to the right. Cars get really loose here out at 2. A slow car on the bottom. Back on the power out of 4. And drops to the bottom to put Austin Ruskoff a lap down. Austin did that lap in 29.48 seconds. But he is about 1.3 seconds slower than his fastest lap. And look who's right behind Kirk Marble on fresh tires. Kirk right now has the freshest tires on track. Garrett Barber is currently in. And riding along with Kirk, you'll see just how much faster these fresh tires are here tonight. As they head off into 1 and 2, fresh tires so big, at a flat track like Phoenix. On the power, out of turn 2, right up to Ryan Caldwell's bumper. Sends it off into 3 and 4 down the bottom easily. Gets past Caldwell and shoots it all the way to the inside. And you can really tell Kirk able to hold that lower line, get by and power out. Austin's lead currently about 2.7 seconds over Pieper. JJ Ringo continues to reel the top 2 in. He's about 7 seconds behind. He's got a lot of ground to make up, not a lot of time. Devin McDonald is coming in. Joshua Rudolph is in. Should see most of the field in the next couple of laps. And with 26 laps to go, as we mentioned, it will be their final stop. I'm betting most of them are taking tires. Cody Burke, after that very slow pit stop on his first stop, has reeled in third place JJ Ringo. But Ringo, at the moment, still the biggest mover of the night. Started in 30th, currently running in third. Alex Harper, Austin Roscoff, both in. And Patrick Pieper is not getting through traffic nearly as quickly as Austin Edwards. Pieper now 3.6 seconds. Whoa! And Pieper a little loose out of 2. The drivers did talk about the car being tight, but man, as these tires wear, that right rear gets burnt off. That right front, though, getting 8 alive. JJ Ringo continues to reel in Patrick Pieper, but now Burke all over his bumper. Ringo about 6.8 seconds behind Pieper in closing. It is worth noting, you see some of the drivers don't cut the dogleg at transition from the banking down to the flat part of the dogleg and back up. It wears the tires even faster. By staying up on the banking, your tires are a little bit better, a little bit longer, but you do lose some speed. Edmund Jones is in. Patrick Pieper in second for the moment. He does continue to lose ground to Austin, and Edmund has picked up a black flag on pit road. Ryan Caldwell ducking in, and here comes Austin. And they both sent it hard onto pit road. Patrick Pieper reclaims the lead. Leading a lap here, picking up the bonus points, and it doesn't seem like much, just 6 races in, but when we hit race 30, it could make a huge difference. Staying out to lead that one lap here at Phoenix could be a deciding factor late in the season. JJ Ringo is on pit road. Curtis Mitchell's coming in. Richie Ragsdale now up into third. Richie, another one who's having one heck of a run here tonight. Nicholas Johnson coming in. Brian Hewitt is in. The Dominator now in second. He has not been in for his final stop yet. You have to wonder, does he have a plan to make up some ground? Will we see a two-tire stop? I don't believe Richie Ragsdale is in. I don't believe we have seen a two-tire stop yet tonight. However, we have seen a couple of fuel only. Looks like Curtis Mitchell and Devin McDonald both did fuel only to try and gain some track position. Patrick Pieper is in. And the Dominator has the lead. And the Dominator continues to stay out. With 15 laps to go, he'll be the driver with the freshest tires, but how much ground will he lose? At the moment, about a second and a half slower than his fastest lap. Austin has now moved back up into second. Scott Roney currently in third. Scott Roney and fourth place Jeffrey Goodpaster have not completed their final stops. And this is a gutsy strategy. Burke staying out. And he's finally coming in. And the lead should cycle back to Austin Edwards. Scott Roney also in. Austin Edwards coming around, should reclaim the lead any moment. He does. Patrick Pieper about 8 seconds back, will move back into second. As the Dominator's on his way out, it looks like he may have done fuel only. Curtis Mitchell currently in third. Burke comes out in fourth. JJ Ringo in fifth. Ringo does have 4 fresh Goodyears. Austin still has the lead, but he has a ton of lap traffic. Patrick Pieper has a lot more clear track. Is 7.3 seconds back. And you can see not a lot of clear track out there right now with 10 to go. Curtis Mitchell still holds on to third, but Burke is close. also hung up in heavy lap traffic. Oh, holy cow! Burke got into a lap car. The caution is out. And with less than 10 to go, Burke is heavily damaged. Let's take another look at that incident. All right, looking down from the chopper at Cody Burke. You see that car up top? Looks like the 33 car. As Burke comes out, he comes down, and they meet in the middle. And that was Ryan McDaniel involved. Ryan comes down out of turn 4 as Cody comes up, and wow, both cars take a big hit. Now Burke is on pit road. Kirk Marble also in. Shane Hoffman is in. Ryan McDaniel is in and has picked up a black flag. 14 cars on the lead lap. Burke has got it repaired and he is taking on tires. But his chance at a top 3 may have just ended. That will allow Austin the Goat Edwards to close the gap in the points in a very big way. Jeffrey Goodpaster is ducked in. Kirk Marble on his way back out. Jeremy Davis also ducks in. And the one concern here is, will we see another caution with so few laps to go? Ryan McDaniel is back out on track. And it looks like he has served his penalty, but he drops back into 31st. And here we go. They will get the green flag with 5 to go here at Phoenix. The green flag flies. It'll be 5 to go at the line. And Curtis Mitchell immediately drops to the bottom. Austin pulls ahead as they battle back behind. And whoa! 4 wide coming out of turn 2. We've got cars together. The caution is out. And it looked like David Lutz got caught up. Ryan McDaniel also appears to have been caught up. He has towed it in. Let's see what happened. All right, looking down from the chopper. Oh, David was blinking. They go 4 wide. Burke shoots the gap. Lutz bounces off the wall. Gets into Alex Harper. gets big loose out of turn 2, smacks the inside wall. All right, looking at Alex Harper. David Lux just ahead, blinking. And there's the bump. Several cars catch a small piece of it, but manage to save it. Man, that could have been exponentially worse. All right, Cody Burke, we saw him shoot the gap 4 wide, now up into 11th. Austin Edwards, Patrick Pieper, J.J. Ringo, Curtis Mitchell, and Richie Ragsdale, the top 5. Nicholas Johnson, Devin McDonald, Stephen Hoffman, David Farnan, and Kirk Marble round out the top 10. Still 15 cars on the lead lap. And it will be a green-white checkered finish. Austin Edwards, Patrick Pieper, side by side up front. All right, here they go. Off into turn 3 for the final restart. And the green flag flies. It'll be 2 to go in Phoenix. Austin quickly to the bottom. Here comes J.J. Ringo. J.J. now into second. Richie Ragsdale up into the mix. Joe Lux and Jeffrey Goodpaster have had a problem behind, no caution. Now the caution flies. We'll get another green-white checkered. Holy cow. It's getting a little crazy late in this one. All right, looking down from the chopper, Joe Lux in the green and white car. Through the dogleg, back up. Oh, Goodpaster comes up and they get together and both smack the wall. There's Goodpaster down on the bottom. That is one of the problems here with that. And wow, what a hit. There was some bumping behind. Devin McDonald involved, as was Kirk. And it looked like they just kept piling in as everybody's fighting. Devin pushes up into Kirk. Chad Ragsdale barely shoots the gap. Brian Hewitt, Edmund Jones, and Shane Hoffman nowhere to go. So now it's Austin Edwards and J.J. Ringo in the front row, and J.J. 28 spots into second. What a run. Pieper still in third. Curtis Mitchell up 15 spots into fourth. Richie Ragsdale up 19 spots into fifth. Nicholas Johnson up 14 spots into sixth. And what about David Farnan up 23 spots into eighth? Lights go out as they stack back up for the final green-white checkered. This one could get even crazier, folks. They've got 2 laps to settle it. Pace car dives in. Everybody stacked up, 2 laps to go at Phoenix. 16 cars on the lead lap. And here we go, green flag flies, 2 laps to go at Phoenix. And everybody's coming through the dogleg this time. Wow, some banging into the turn 1 wall. Austin pulls ahead, but Ringo and Pieper right there on the bumper. They've got a wreck out of 2. The caution flies. And this race will end under caution. Wow. Austin Edwards will get the win. JJ Ringo will finish in 2nd, Pieper in 3rd. Nicholas Johnson in 4th, Cody the Dominator Burke recovers to 5th. Richie Ragsdale, Stephen Hoffman, Curtis Mitchell, CJ Jeffries, and Kirk Marble round out the top 10. And out of turn 4, under caution, Austin Edwards gets his 4th win of the season. And let's take a quick look. Austin doing his drift. Let's take a quick look at the final incident. All right, looking down. Oh, Caldwell gets turned. They check up. Chad Ragsdale gets caught up. Chad gets turned down. And man, it all pops off from there. There you see, once one starts sideways, it's just a domino effect. And a whole bunch of race cars pile in. And let's see if we can get a word with our top 3. Patrick, how glad were you on that last restart to be where you were?
I was pretty happy with being 3rd, but I also really wasn't happy with being with the green-white checkers just because people get kind of aggressive there. I had a clean race going, and, I had 2nd in the bag, and then we started to get a little messy there at the end, and then I was just having fun. I had a clean race going. I was battling Austin there, and I was battling JJ at the end. I had 0x going, and on that last caution, like I said, somebody who's a little too eager to try and get a podium or whatever because it's a green-white checkers comes diving in and kind of ruined a lot of people's races, but whatever, it's just 1 point, but still had a fun time. It was really fun there battling with Austin early on. So yeah, it was a good race. And like I said, I was looking forward to racing JJ there for 2nd, but it is what it is.
Well, man, still an awesome finish. You come home in 3rd, a great points night as well. Coming into tonight, you were sitting back in 4th, but I think you may bump back up into 3rd in points.
We'll see how it goes. Like I said, after getting a bad start the year, it's nice to be getting some podiums and top tens or consecutive in a row and having some clean races and just fun, good time.
Well, man, a great job, a great finish. Congratulations.
All right, thank you, Doug.
JJ Ringo comes home in second and the biggest mover of the night. JJ, JJ, I have to ask, did you even qualify tonight?
Yeah, I did. I kind of just tried to take it easy on the first lap, and when I went to take the green for my second fast lap, I just absolutely screwed up and got loose as I hit the dog leg or the apron. So, yeah, I had to start 30th, but I'll absolutely take a second to drive through the field like that because there's really good fast guys in this league. So, to me, this is like a win right now.
Oh, man, it was definitely one heck of an impressive run. We looked at you on the start, and then we look at you 10 laps later, and every 10 laps you were jumping up a bunch of spots. It was one heck of a charge.
Yeah, I will say, there was one restart. I got to thank my brother. I had a big run on a bunch of guys on a restart, and my brother said, just go by. I went from like 16th or 15th to like 6th just because he let me go underneath him, and I was able to pass a bunch of guys. So thank you to my brother, too, for sure. Thank you, Nick.
Well, man, that was a heck of a run. One of the biggest come from the backs we've seen all season. 28 spots. A heck of a run tonight, man. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. No, thank you to everyone at SMR. Thank you, Doug, for you doing your broadcast and streaming and all that. And then congrats also to Austin and Patrick for us running top 3. So, yeah, fun night. Absolutely dig it.
Great job, buddy.
Thank you.
And finally, our winner, Austin the Goat Edwards. Austin, they don't call you the GOAT for nothing, man. You were unstoppable tonight.
I don't know about that, Doug. I wasn't feeling very unstoppable. We went out for qualifying. We're 3/10 off and put it in the wall a couple times. And strategy was all over the place. And late race yellow. It might have looked pretty good from the outside, but I did not feel invincible inside the race car.
Well, it was one of those nights. And Phoenix is definitely tricky. The tire fall off was abysmal tonight due to the hot track, but man, you still managed to pull off one heck of a run tonight, and starting back in 6th, having to fight your way up there early and to get to the front and get the lead as early as you did was a really good run.
Yeah, Phoenix was a little bit more technical than I had remembered, so had to be a little bit more aggressive than I was used to for these cars on tracks like this, but yeah, Doug, tire fall off was terrible, so obviously you had guys running high and low and there, and it seemed like as soon as you would figure out how to save one of your tires, another one of them would get blown off in a matter of 2 laps, and it was a very vicious cycle. So, no, I finally figured out what line to get to throughout the race. Well, never really found the perfect line, but I tried them all, and just kept it together, kept the tires on it, and luckily the cautions fell in my favor there at the very end. Had Ringo and Pieper on my bumper, and those guys were pretty quick. Burke was up there. Obviously, he would have been a contender had he not had a couple incidents there. So, no, it was a very, very challenging technical race, but I'm happy how it came out, and got some real challenges coming up next. Once we get to the 1.5 miles, that's where I struggle the most. So, if you thought I looked dominant tonight, Doug, it might be the last time you see it for a couple of weeks. I hope you all enjoyed it.
Well, man, I have to say, you came into tonight obviously missing a couple of races, way behind in the points. You'll close the gap on Cody, but it's also your 4th win of the season, and I'm not sure if you're aware of the Cody Burke rule, but after your 5th win, you have to qualify and then take an EOL. That you could be in for an interesting remainder of the season.
Well, going back to what I said there, Doug, I hope you enjoyed what you saw tonight, because you might not see it for a few weeks.
Well, man, a heck of a run. A great job, buddy. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Austin the GOAT Edwards back in victory lane. And, folks, don't forget, tomorrow afternoon, the Unicorn is back behind the wheel truck in USA. Tomorrow night, the World Class Short Track Series back at 7:30 Eastern, and a whole lot more to come this week Don't forget to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, and especially YouTube. We're putting out a ton of YouTube shorts. Thank you guys so much for being here. Hope y'all had as much fun as we did. What a wild finish. Have a great night, y'all.